Yep. Okay.
All right. And so can you see the PowerPoint presentation?
Yeah, it looks great. Yeah.
Okay. Well, howdy and welcome. Thank you for inviting me, Erica, to join you guys tonight to talk a little bit about the reproductive management that we do at Texas A&M with horses. I'm going to talk a little bit about our program initially to just give you some perspective of what we do at Texas A&M, but also talk a little bit about the Equine Reproductive Management short course. So to give you kind of a formal introduction of myself, I'm the extension horse specialist here at Texas A&M and assistant professor in the Department of Animal Science. I did my bachelor's and master's at West Texas A&M University, which is in the panhandle of Texas. I always kind of knew from the get-go when I started college that I wanted to be an educator. I kind of thought that looked like a professor at a university. But as I started to progress in my collegiate career, I became more aware of the opportunities within extension, which is also an educator, but someone who does it for the state versus just solely at the university. So I am faculty in the Department of Animal Science, and I work really closely with students at Texas A&M, but mostly in utilizing them and giving them experiences through the extension programming that I do throughout the state of Texas. My master's degree was in equine reproduction. I spent a lot of time working with a local veterinarian who's nationally known for cloning and got to do a lot of reproductive techniques there, very much a hands-on experience. And I certainly fell in love with equine reproduction, but I was not the person that really wanted to spend, 24/7 at the barn from February to the end of May. And so I kind of decided that was probably not a career path for me, even though I loved reproductive practices. My colleague, Dr. Jennifer Zoller, we work very closely on a lot of things together. She also has a little bit of background in equine reproduction with her master's degree as well. And I should add that for my PhD, I did not continue pursuing equine reproduction. I did some work in exercise physiology and looking at whole body vibration in horses. But my colleague, Dr. Zoller, as well, very well-rounded professional that I get to work with almost on every program that we do. And she assists with the reproductive management short course I'm going to tell you a little bit about. And then finally, our fantastic equine facility manager, Chrissy Schroeder, she manages our horse herd and our equine facilities. She did her bachelor's at Texas A&M, and then she also worked for the Wichita Ranch for many years, working with 20+ stallions and breeding over 600 mares every year as part of her work there, before she came to Texas A&M and now manages our facilities and all of our breeding practices at Texas A&M. So she's a big part of what we do in terms of reproductive programming as well. In the Department of Animal Science, it really is a university that has national and international prominence. It's one of the largest in the United States in terms of the department. We have over 1,100 undergraduate students and over 100 graduate students. And this has all then brought the need for about 60+ faculty who are working full-time teaching animal science courses, doing research, and then also extension as well. And if you're not really familiar with what extension is, most extension within the states works with the land-grant university. And so AgriLife Extension is the largest comprehensive agriculture program nationally, and it is affiliated then with the Texas A&M University system. And it employs over 5,000 employees, and it encompasses all 254 counties in Texas. So that includes our county extension agents, our district extension agents, and then our specialists, such as myself being the horse specialist. So that kind of gives you a perspective. I work for both of these groups. I guess extension pays my paycheck, but I'm bound to the department in terms of the things that I operate and do. Here recently, Texas A&M built a new $1 million+ equine facility. It's our nutrition research and reproductive teaching center. And so I wanted to share a little video tour of this facility. We're really excited about the opportunities it affords us, especially when it comes to teaching and doing extension programming. For me specifically on the reproductive side, it's a neat facility, very functional and very efficient for teaching. So I'm going to just give you a little tour here. And so our facility, we manage about 5 to 8 stallions every breeding season, and we'll breed somewhere around 20 to 30 mares. And all of those foals from the mares are implemented then into our course curriculum at Texas A&M, where they're used for colt training courses, and eventually they may progress up to fill spots on the broodmare band, or they might be put on, say, the ranch horse team or used as a riding horse for our extension programs. But we do also sell a high percentage of those horses, and that's through private treaty. This year was the first time that they did that through an online auction this spring, and I think that's something that they may be continuing in the future. So if you're interested in having a horse that has that famous ATM brand on it, you'll have to contact our breeding manager, Christy Schroeder, who I'd introduced earlier. This facility has several nutrition and physiology laboratories, about 75 plus stalls, including foaling stalls, mare observation stalls, and stallion stalls. Our pastures also include stallion paddocks, and then we have a specific mare breeding area and a stallion collection wing that has a dedicated semen analysis laboratory. So it's set up quite nicely for the reproductive practices. So that kind of leads me to the bulk of what I wanted to talk about with you guys tonight, and that's our Equine Reproductive Management short course. It was started in 1979 by Dr. Jack Kreider and Dr. Doug Householder, and the short course began out of a need for education for equine industry clientele. So as breeding associations began to allow registration of foals from artificial insemination, there became a pretty clear need for people needing to know how to use these specific techniques for AI. And so in 1991, Dr. Martha Bokel-Sane, who is probably the most accredited to the short course, was appointed the program lead, and she remained in that position until 2018 when she retired. And at that time, I got to take over the program, which I was very excited about, because at that point in my role, I hadn't been doing a lot of reproductive stuff in terms of my extension programming. So I gladly took up the reins for this short course, and I continue to manage it both in person and the course that's online. So it's got a long-standing history. It's certainly been a very successful short course. The idea behind it, or objective, is that the participants will learn the most efficient methods to ensure they have success in their breeding programs. We really make sure that we provide hands-on learning opportunities. So participants who come and do this course get to actually practice AI with their horses. If animal availability is there, we might do some palpating. We certainly collect stallions to everyone's heart's content. So whether that's handling the stallion around the dummy or handling the artificial vagina to collect the stallion, everyone gets the opportunity to do that type of hands-on learning. The stallion and mare reproductive management is covered for this 3-day short course, and it takes place at the Texas A&M campus. So we really dive into things like anatomy and physiology, but then also the reproductive practices related to, collecting a stallion and analyzing semen, or preparing a mare and manipulating the estrus cycle for successful breeding. So we spend a day about on the stallion and a day on the mare, and then the final day is kind of some bonus things that we add into the schedule in terms of reproductive practices. But really, attendees get to experience kind of those hands-on learning opportunities and engage in an intimate learning experience with our specialists and also our equine experts. So we do pull people from the industry in as well to help teach this course. So some key aspects related to the in-person short course: it takes place early January, usually the first or second Wednesday through Friday. And it has limited availability. So at this time, it's capped at 12 participants. We've had participants all over the nation come, and we've also had international participants as well. Because of that limited availability, we're really able to afford that opportunity for people to get as much education and learning and hands-on experience as their heart desires. And there is only so much we can do in 3 days, but we really work to make sure that our participants leave feeling like they got something out of it, and that they're prepared to go ahead and start implementing some of the things they learned in their own breeding practices. And so for some people, that's simply just developing a knowledge base that allows them to more readily communicate with, say, a breeding manager or their veterinarian, or understand what's happening with their mare or stallion that they're paying someone to do or take care of. For others, it means developing skills and confidence to where they can go home and actually start doing those things in their own farm and start saving themselves money in the process by learning how to AI their mares, so they don't have to pay a vet to do that every time. So we have a wide range of people that come in, and we hope to bring them to the next level wherever they're at, so that this course can bring some benefit to them in their horse operation. Early bird registration is $700, and I can't even tell you what the late registration is because we always fill up before that deadline. So registration opens September, October typically, and it fills up pretty quickly with just having those 12 spots. So because of that kind of limited availability for the in-person, and honestly because of what COVID-19 necessitated, we decided to take this short course online in 2021. And what we found was that there was a lot of people who wanted to do this short course, but just couldn't make it happen to get there in person. And so this online short course offering really morphed into what became an on-demand short course available at any time throughout the year. And so if you're interested in this, feel free to scan that QR code with your phone, and it'll take you directly to the site where you can read a little bit more about the short course and also enroll in it. But I'm going to talk about some of the key aspects related to it as well. All those things that we talked about earlier in the in-person short course is also obtained through this online short course. So even though you may not be able to get the hands-on experience, you're going to see things happen hands-on, and you're going to see our experts explain those things in detail. So like this picture depicts, we get up close and personal with the professionals doing the hands-on activity, so that you can feel like you're there, like we've taken the books and brought them into a laboratory experience for you, even though you're watching it through a computer. So it's online and asynchronous, meaning you can pace yourself through it whenever you would like. It is limited to 60 days for completion after you enroll. The course cost is $300. And as part of that, you can actually order a custom interactive kit from Animal Reproduction Systems. You can see that in this bottom left picture that includes the Techniques and Equine Reproduction Manual. And that really is to help supplement that online experience. So having some of those tangible items in your hands when we talk about them within the course. And then there's our certificate of completion. We have a lot of people who are interested in that aspect of it. And so that is given after all modules have been viewed. So to just kind of give you a sense, this is a little bit more of a deep dive into the short course, not something or not information that we have readily available on our website, but Erica asked me to share a little more details with you all. This is the course's first 2 days. So on the left is our stallion management day. And we usually have this set up to where the morning is our sort of lecture and intimate discussion with our equine experts. And then the second half of the day is more demonstrative and more hands-on experiences. So this is similar for both the in-person and the online course. It's going to follow a very similar schedule. And our second day then here is going to be focusing more on the mare. So you can see we kind of hit the anatomy at the beginning and some of the physiology and nutrition as well. And then in the afternoon, we get more into the semen collection and the evaluation of that, or learning how to freeze semen, which is actually quite simple. It doesn't take a in-depth operation to be able to do that if that's something you're considering for a next step in your operation. And then the mare as well, having the opportunity to practice artificial insemination. We bring in excised reproductive tracts from mares that have been euthanized and practice with those. And then we also have opportunities to practice live artificial insemination on a mare. And then our final day touches a little bit on troubleshooting, some of those things that we might encounter as problematic. This last day kind of dives into that. And in this case, with the online course, we actually then also went on a virtual tour of Cinder Lakes Ranch in Valley View, Texas, and did a Q&A with their reproductive experts there. We also then touch on a few things really important to reproductive practices, and that's body condition scoring, artificial lighting, those on-farm test kits for foaling. And you'll notice kind of with this course that it is very much mare and stallion oriented. We don't talk a lot about the broodmare and the foaling. And so in light of that, we developed an additional online course that I'm going to talk about here, but I think we have a question in the chat. How much is the kit? That's a good question. I should know that for you off the top of my head. I want to say it is $45 with the discount. So there's a discount code that's given to you when you enroll in the course, and you can use that at Animal Reproduction Systems. And I believe it's $45 for you. Originally, gosh, $80 to $100. So it's a pretty nice discount that they give for participants or enrollees in the course. And then certainly with the in-person course, we offer the reproduction manual as part of your $700 fee. We oftentimes will allow you to keep those things too that you practice with. So an AI pipette and the sleeves and all those things that come in the kits you're putting your hands on and getting to practice with at the short course in person. So just kind of to give you a perspective, a lot of our participants' testimonials have been really impressed with the hands-on demonstration part. Many people have felt like they have been able to learn the topics, even for an online short course, that it really brought the books to the lab. And certainly for a lot of you, especially probably not being anywhere near Texas, if I had to guess, this course offers the opportunity for you to join without actually leaving the farm. So being able to gain the knowledge that you desire, but not having to leave your farm unattended, which is one of the testimonials that we heard a lot of this last year with the online course being available all year on demand. So I alluded to this new workshop. We launched the Mare Foal online workshop in November. After our short course went online, we had a lot of requests for people saying, well, what about the mare and foal? And yeah, it's a big part of reproduction. But unfortunately, with 3 days, we can't quite get it all covered. So we went ahead and developed this online workshop. It's about a day's worth of content, and it's really covers those important topics related to managing the broodmare and foal. So the content is developed and presented by industry experts, just like with the Repro short course. You're going to learn things about the foaling process, like predicting and preparing for the foal's arrival, the postpartum placental evaluation. There's actually a gross anatomy evaluation on there, full care and proper nutrition for your pregnant mare and foal. And as part of the predicting and preparing for the foal arrival, we actually have video of a mare foaling. So through the stage 2 and stage 3 of the parturition process, you actually get to see a live foal born. So if you've never seen that, that's a neat video that's supplemental as part of this. There also, I think, within that full workshop is, or mare foal workshop is some guidelines for vaccination. So programs that you want to be implementing for the broodmare and the foal, and then also just some general administration of vaccination guidelines. We work really closely with some partners from the Texas A&M Veterinary School. And so several of our experts on these are veterinarians from the school, our teaching faculty, and part of other avenues within the vet school. The key aspects for the Mare Foal online workshop, it is also available on demand and also has a 60-day to completion after enrollment. Its cost is $75, and there's a certificate of completion with it as well. And like I mentioned, it is about a day's worth of content to view. So since we've got both of these, we've kind of developed a bundle package. So again, if you want to use the QR code to jump quickly to that bundle package, putting both the Equine Reproductive Management short course and the Mare and Foal workshop together, there's a cost savings. And so having both of those together, if you wanted to enroll, would be $350. And the same kind of things apply, that it's available for 60 days to you, and you can get a certificate of completion. So if you have interest in both of those, there's some cost savings to doing the bundle package. So we often get asked, you know, how do we keep up with what you guys are doing when registration opens? The availability of content is because we are working on developing some new content to kind of make this premier equine reproductive management suite of online courses. We're currently gathering content and footage to develop a stallion training series so people can learn how to train their stallion to be collected. And so that's hopefully something that will be ready to launch this fall. But the best place to keep up with us is through our Facebook page, which is Texas Horse. And this is where we make a lot of our announcements and announcements of new resources, registration openings, save the date kind of things. And like I said, with the in-person course, if you're very interested in that, it's important that you register as soon as it becomes available, just because spots are competitive to get. But the Facebook page is where we keep up with most of our make our most current announcements. I wish I could say our webpage is always up to date, but it typically is a little bit slower, mostly because my colleague and I don't have control over the website. We have to make requests for changes, but we have control over the Facebook page. So it is very current and very relevant in terms of what is shared there. So question, should it be a longer time to complete the combo course? That's a great perspective, not one that I've considered, but we definitely could look into that with the online course. We've had a few people who have requested an extension on being able to view the content on the course. And, you know, we're happy to accommodate that. For a lot of people, we actually have already met them maybe at the in-person, or they started with the online course and enjoyed it so much, then they came back and did the in-person short course. And so for a lot of people that do that, we know them well, and we're happy to grant additional access to maybe view content longer. So Maria, if you find yourself in that boat, if you do the combo pack and want to view things a little bit longer, shoot me an email. We can usually accommodate that. All right, finally, I wanted to just provide you guys my contact information. That's my office phone and my email. And then that's the website for the short course, just information about it. It's housed on the Department of Animal Science webpage. The QR codes that I provided you earlier take you directly to the online courses registration. So the registration for the in-person can actually be found at this Department of Animal Science webpage. But if you're interested in the online courses, the Mare Foal or the reproductive management, you can access those really quickly through the QR codes. And I provided Erica the PDF for this presentation today, so you can have all the information that I've shared. But at this time, I'd be happy to answer any questions you guys might have. And feel free to unmute. I think we're a smaller group, so shouldn't be too treacherous if you want to unmute and ask any questions. Where can you get training for live cover? That's a great question. It's always something as part of the short course, the in-person short course that we cover. We often, you might have noticed in our schedule that we end the day at 4, but we often stick around, sometimes 5:36, covering additional topics that our participants are interested in. The beauty of it is we have the flexibility and we have the expertise to add anything additional at the end that our participants want to cover. And so sometimes we do go into live cover, and a few of our stallions at the A&M facility are used for live cover. But most of the structured content is going to go over collecting the stallion and using that or utilizing that technique within your short course. But you've given me an idea, Maria, for maybe additional content that we can develop for our online course.
I'm not sure if there are any more questions, guys. Would you like to ask Chelsie something else? I don't think so.
Everybody's probably in, well, you guys are probably done with supper. We're about to eat supper soon.
Yeah. Yeah, it's only 5 p.m. here in Arizona.
So another question, many use the course so they can do AI on a farm. How does that work? Especially if you do not have US equipment. Okay. So a few of these groups that sell equipment for equine artificial insemination in the United States do sell internationally. You actually don't have to have an ultrasound to perform AI in the horse. And it's nice to have an ultrasound to track the mare's estrus cycle so you know when to AI, but that's also not absolutely necessary. So if you have the ability to tease your mare, you can get a pretty good sense for when she's coming into heat and then about to ovulate, and when you would want to go ahead and artificially inseminate. So unlike cattle, we don't have to rectally guide the pipette to inseminate the mare, and so an ultrasound is not needed as part of that process. It's actually pretty simple to AI, far less complicated than other species in the horse.
Erica, are you still there on the Zoom? I wanted to give Erica the chance to say something to you.
Sure.
To end the presentation, because I don't see more questions. Oh, there's another one.
So what about afterwards, like flashing oxytocin protocol? I'm assuming you're asking about giving oxytocin in terms of like postpartum or I just had a baby, so postpartum is fresh on my mind. Like postparturition, or is that kind of what we're talking about here? Clearance of the uterus and use of oxytocin for that? Yes, yep. And so a lot of those drugs that we use to either manipulate the mare's estrus cycle or to manage the reproductive practices within it are covered pretty closely, especially on the mare's side. Don't talk about much drug use with the stallion because most instances it's not needed. But certainly we use certain types of drugs to help manage that estrous cycle, and that is talked about extensively in the short course.
Thank you, Chelsie. I don't know if Erica's still here, but if nobody else has any questions, then we probably should end the call.
All right. Well, thank you for having me. And you have my email. So if you come up with any questions in the future, even reproductive related, I'm happy to answer or help you find the answers. That's certainly what I do in my position as an extension specialist. And I love talking about repro. So when I get those type of questions, I'm happy to answer them. It's the other questions when people ask me about putting goldfish in their tank, or, you know, can I use cumin to help treat my horse's inflammation? Those are the questions.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Okay, I get it. Well, thank you very much. Erica, yeah, Maria says that she will contact you further. So thank you very much, Chelsie, for this explanation about the course. And Erica, I don't know if you're there. Thank you for organizing this webinar from the MC. Yeah, that's it for today.
All right. Have a great evening, everyone.
It's the same. Bye.
Bye.